Hi, my name is Jim Murray. I'm here with Audrey Hewins, Kathy Marden, and this is I Know What I Saw. This show is a bit about UFO abduction and sightings, and we will be talking with Kathy about her 3 books and Audrey about her experiences as well. So Kathy, let me ask you, before getting into the field, you were a social worker and an educator. What made you decide to have the career change and go into that field?
That is correct. I started out in a career in social work and ended up doing some graduate work and ended up becoming a teacher and an education services coordinator. And about 23 years ago, I left that profession and followed a dream that I'd had for a very long time. I enjoyed research and writing, and I decided that I'd like to investigate my aunt and uncle, Betty and Barney Hill's UFO and abduction report. And so I started doing that, and my aunt was willing to assist me with that. Over a period of about 14 years, she turned over about 40 years of files to me, the original investigation reports, the report to the Air Force, letters to and from scientists, and also the hypnosis tapes of 6 months of hypnosis sessions that Betty and Barney had with renowned psychiatrist Dr. Benjamin Simon. He knew a lot about psychiatry, he knew a lot about hypnosis, he knew nothing about UFOs and abductions, so he was probably the perfect person for them to see. And so this culminated in the book, Captured, the Betty and Barney Hill UFO Experience, with Stanton T. Friedman. He vetted my work. He's a world-famous scientific ufologist. Yeah. He has a master's degree from the University of Chicago in physics. Perfect person to vet my work because he was involved in the original investigation of the star map and the vetting of a brilliant woman from Ohio's research, Marjorie Fish, who identified the stars on a map that Betty was shown when she was on board the craft. And so he ended up writing 2 chapters in Captured. And then he and I went on after that to write the book Science Was Wrong. Each of us wrote 7 chapters in that. And finally, my 3rd book is the Alien Abduction Files, and that was released in May.
Okay. Along with the 3 books that you've done, you're also associated with the Mutual UFO Network, also known as Mufon?
That is correct. I've been a member of the Mutual UFO Network since 1991.
Okay.
And I am now their Director of Abduction Research. I'm also on the board of directors for Starborn Support, and I co-facilitate a support group in Florida.
If someone were to have a sighting or an abduction, what steps would they go through to report that?
They wouldn't contact me, but they would go online to Mufon, MUFON.com. The homepage will come up, and on the top right-hand corner is an icon, and it says report a UFO sighting. Okay. So you click on that, and then a report form will come up. You fill the form out. That form will then go to individuals who review everything that comes into Mufon. It then goes to the state that you live in, and an assignment is made to a field investigator. And that field investigator will contact you generally within 72 hours from the time that you make the report, and will set up a time to interview you, and if you do have physical evidence, to go out to the area that you're in and collect the physical evidence and do an actual on-site investigation.
Mufon That's worldwide, is that correct?
Yes, Mufon is worldwide. It has chapters around the world, across the United States, in Canada, in Europe, all over.
Okay. Okay, so what brings you to Portland?
I now live in Florida.
Oh, okay.
We retired to Florida about 3.5 years ago. I have to say I didn't retire, my husband did. And I am up in the Northeast now because I'm going to be speaking at the Experiencers Speak Conference in Portland, which is going to take place on September 6th, 7th, and 8th at the Clarion Hotel. So I will be speaking on Sunday, September 8th.
At the conference, what would a sneak peek of your lecture kind of entail?
My lecture is titled the same as my book, The Alien Abduction Files, and I am going to be discussing 2 major cases in the Alien Abduction Files. The first one is the case of Ed and Denise Stoner, average American people, a couple who were traveling with their 14-year-old daughter to their summer home in Colorado. They lived near Denver at that time. Okay. They were meeting Denise's father and mother on the other end, and a family friend. Her mother always prepared dinner for them. They went every Friday during the summer months. And on this particular night, as they were descending Kenosha Pass toward South Park Valley, the desert floor, Denise observed 2 lights in the sky that attracted her attention. 4 miles south of there, Ed saw them as well. They were rapidly descending toward the Stoners' vehicle. They then felt the car slide off the side of the road. This was not an automobile accident. They were not knocked unconscious. They then suddenly, as if only a moment had passed, found themselves 40 miles down the road. It did not register on their odometer. It was now 11 o'clock at night. It had been 7 o'clock, what seemed only a moment before. It was pitch black. They were startled. They were in shock. They didn't know what happened. And the lights to their car had been turned on. They didn't know how they were turned on. They did the only thing they could do, and that was to drive on to their summer place. And Denise's parents were on the other end, frantically worried about what had happened to Ed and Denise. Had their car been involved in an accident? Had they gone off the road? There was no evidence that there was any damage at all to their vehicle. Later, under hypnosis, Ed and Denise separately recalled the same abduction experience. And I'll be talking about that. And I will be showing parts of Denise's hypnosis session where she's undergoing a physical examination on the craft, where she has a tour of the craft and sees the central core. Fascinating footage of this. And I'll also be talking about the case of Jenny Henderson. She is a highly credible New Hampshire woman who's had multi-generational abductions. Her mother was taken before her, her children were taken, her first husband was taken, it appears, as well. There was a lot of conscious recall. She has undergone psychological evaluations. She's come up perfectly normal, no evidence of any psychiatric illness or of any personality disorder or fantasy proneness. There is evidence. It's a highly credible case as well. Okay. So I'll be talking about those 2 cases primarily.
In the Alien Abduction Files lecture?
Yes, in the Alien Abduction Files lecture that is based upon my new book, The Alien Abduction Files with Denise Stoner. Also in that book, haven't you mentioned and written a bit about Audrey as well? I absolutely did, yes. There's a 3rd section to the book, and unfortunately, I can't lecture about this because I'm limited in the amount of time I have, but I have been interested in Audrey's case. I've known Audrey for about 5 or 6 years now, and have been looking into her case, have done a little bit of investigating from a distance. I'm up here now in order to do more investigation on Audrey's case. I have her medical records, and it is a very interesting and compelling case that I've written about with Audrey's cooperation.
Great. So Audrey, what could the readers of this book look to find?
It's got a little bit of everything, even a picture of a black helicopter that I had taken. It seems I run a group called Starborn Support.
Okay.
And I started in 2006. And we're a support group, and we offer help and therapy for abductees.
Okay.
So once I started this group, it seemed that my phone started making strange noises. I'd try to do interviews on the radio, and I'd get shut off when I started talking. It was very, very bizarre, like somebody didn't want me talking. And then, I'd had encounters all my life.
Yeah.
So obviously they didn't want me talking about this. And then I start to, go public and help others and get others together. So after I'd have an encounter where a UFO would come to my house and pick me up, the next day the helicopters would just hover, tree telephone pole height over my house all day long. I live in a little town in the middle of Maine. Okay. So to have this unmarked black helicopter just, harass me all day, every time, it was like clockwork. I'm like, oh, they ought to be here, So then I'd get up and do my dishes, and they'd be hovering right outside the window, and I'd go out, and now I just wave and take pictures. So one of the pictures is in the book.
No kidding.
A little bit about my childhood history. I'm an identical twin. Okay. We started having experiences when we were very, very young, our first memories, and it was in a town called Athens, Ohio. Okay. We used to draw pictures and write in our journals, and we'd draw the pictures of these bald men, is what we called them when we were little. So we would freak out when it was time for bed. We don't want to go to bed, the bald men are coming. And, our parents, of course, what active imaginations, and there's no such thing as the boogeyman, and, go ahead, you'll be okay. And so we started to, not tell it so often because we weren't being believed, but we always had each other to talk to. Okay. So that was good. A lot of people go through it alone. I don't know what I do if that was the case. This is why I do what I do, because those people need someone to talk to. But in, I believe it was 88 or 89, whenever Whitley Strieber's book Communion came out, my mother, who had seen the journals and seen the pictures and as kids, and actually took them to put away for safekeeping, which they've since disappeared. But she saw the cover of Communion, and there was the bald man that we had, drawn for so long and talked about for so long. So she picked up the book in the 80s. We were 14 or 15 years old. At that point, we were living in Bridgewater, Massachusetts, which is the heart of the Bridgewater Triangle. I don't know if you're familiar with any of those stories. Lauren Coleman, he'll be at Experiencers Speak to join us. He owns the Cryptozoology Museum, the only one in the world, in Portland.
Right here in Portland. Okay, yeah.
So he's going to, offer tours of the museum, which is right down the road from where we're having the conference.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but he coined that term. The Bridgewater Triangle has all kinds of strange activity, not just UFOs. There's a lot of UFOs, but there's Bigfoot, there's, giant birds, anything paranormal has been recorded in that area. Okay.
Now you said abductee. This is a question of mine. As I've watched and been interested in the UFO phenomena, it's gone from abductee to contactee. Is it experiencers now?
That's the word most people prefer. And
they just had an experience?
It more clarifies all forms of contact. Okay. Not everybody is taken. Some people, have different kind of contact, or they're not aware that they're taken. Myself, I've been, physically taken by the beings known as the Greys since childhood. Okay. And it seems like they're the ones that do the experiments and the medical procedures and different things. So it's very traumatic, and for years, I suffered and tried to just forget about it, didn't talk about it. but when I was ready to get help, when I was in my early 20s, it really was active. I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to know what was going on. I had no clue. So I was lucky and found Mufon, actually, and a member of Mufon that's no longer in Mufon was from Massachusetts group, and he really, really helped us a lot, me and my sister.
So if someone wanted to get in contact with you without reporting to Mufon, is that possible?
Oh yeah, Starborn Support. We work over the phone. We work via Skype. We have 10 chapters now. We're trying to get established, one in every state. So there's a support group available for the caller that calls in this country. So that's what we're working on. You know, after the conference, Starborn Support puts on Experiencers Speak once a year. We're a nonprofit, this is how we kind of give back to the public, and it's about education as well as getting the experiencers together. The whole weekend is just going to be wonderful, and we also have planned for lunchtime. We're going to have a sign up for those in the audience who maybe want to share their experiences, personal experiences. So during the lunch break, we'll have a support group style chat and chew session where everybody can share and seek help. A lot of our Starborn Support team will be there. Michael Melton is our PTSD expert, and he's the founder of our Pennsylvania chapter, and he'll be there to offer his help. Denise Stoner won't be joining us personally, but she is going to be joining us in opening ceremonies on Saturday through Skype, and she'll have the Starborn Support Florida meeting going on as we're opening, so she can talk a little bit about her meeting and what she's doing, and maybe have some of the group chat too. So it's going to be a day or weekend full of amazing encounter tales and bonding for other experiencers.
That is great. So with these people that are at the conference, Experiencers Speak, how many people do you work with that are willing to do that versus the people that don't want to be known at all?
I think the percentage is still higher of people that want to remain confidential.
I would bet,
It takes a lot of personal growth and understanding before you can start to talk about it. It helps, however, meeting others and being able to talk to somebody who says, "Oh, I know what you're talking about," instead of saying you're crazy.
Right.
So that's what it's all about, is getting people together. I started the conference last year. And I mean, for weeks afterwards, people were calling and thanking me. They were, branching out and having meetups together, starting to talk about their experiences. In fact, my scientist, Matt Moniz, came out for the first time ever at Experiencers Speak, and I had been keeping his secret for 15 plus years. And we had met on a StarCraft 10 years before we met in a club here. Yeah. Huh. So he got brave that day and said, "I'm going to do it today." And good. Yeah, it was great.
So, aside from being Experiencer Speaking, who else is at this conference?
Kathy Marden.
Exactly.
And
Kathy.
Denise Stoner. She's actually started Starborn Support Florida. Oh, wow. And she's not able to make it physically, but we're going to have her join us for opening ceremonies via Skype on the projector. And she's actually going to have a support group going at that time dedicated to the conference, and introduce herself and talk a little bit about her experiences and what she's doing in Florida to help. Peter Robbins is the master of ceremonies, so he's going to be joining us for opening. We're going to talk a little bit about Starborn Support, the different chapters, how you can get help in different ways. We're also reaching out to different providers who may be interested, psychotherapists, psychologists, hypnotherapists, anybody that can help us with the experiencers. So we're gonna, we're taking names of people that are saying, okay, I've been working with experiencers, because a lot more people do than you may think. And especially nowadays, it seems to be like more and more people are coming forward and looking for help.
Well, with more people coming forward, I mean, having a national or worldwide website that people can report an abduction to. Would you, with Mufon, then steer someone that's been abducted to Audrey, or how does that work?
Mufon is an investigative group.
Okay.
Now, most experiencers do require some support.
Okay.
And so we are vetting the credentials of people who are hosting support groups, and also the credentials of hypnotherapists. So we have a mental health provider list. We also have a support group list. And those people who are vetted and who become part of our list will receive referrals to Starborn Support and other support groups.
So with Starborn Support holding this conference, when is it again? The 2 days?
September 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Okay, 3 days.
The actual conference is the 7th and 8th, but we have a special meet and greet dinner on Friday night for VIP ticket holders.
And that's the meet and greet?
Yep, meet and greet dinner.
Oh, that's great. Now, there's been a number of other topics that I'd like to ask you. Is in regard to rights being sold and making money on this. You're a nonprofit.
Yes,
correct?
And everything we do and have done since I started in 2006 is completely free of charge.
Okay.
It's because I care. I really genuinely want to help these people, and I myself had nowhere to turn when I was looking until I got lucky and found Mufon.
Okay.
So back when I was looking, there wasn't an internet,
right.
And you couldn't just
that's true.
say, who's going to help. I got lucky and ran into the right person who directed me to them. So, but a lot of people didn't have that in the days. So the computers definitely made it easier to seek help. But it seems that in the last few years, there seems to be more and more experiencers starting to remember things, and we call it kind of waking up.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's amazing when you actually work with experiencers to see, they wake up in various age groups or, locations. It's just been amazing to keep track of and work on.
Well, I'd like to thank both of my guests, Kathy and Audrey, for showing up and talking about the books and their experience and the conference. This has been I Know What I Saw, and thank you for watching.